Book 51 of 2019 was I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. It's got a little bit of a bookmarking because I've lent it to my mum because I thought she would like it. She likes true crime stuff. So yeah, this is basically true crime, but it's different to other true crime books because true crime books usually are quite like factual, like this is what happened. They describe a lot about the killer, and I don't like them usually. Like I just find them a bit weird. Like why would you want to know about this stuff? Like it's disturbing. But this one's written in a different way. So this one's written in a more kind of like, it's talking about the victims and it's from their perspective and how they've kind of felt and like what's led up to it, and there's not very much focused on the actual perpetrator. McNamara is the one who coined the term Golden State Killer. Before that there was lots of other names for lots of other crimes that had taken place, like in various areas, but because of the way the police like bureaucracy was in the 70s, I don't know if it's still like this, where they don't share intel with each other, which I think is absolutely bizarre. Like how are you going to catch people for crimes if you don't share intel? And there's loads of like bureaucratic like restrictions and stuff that you can't, there's a red tape and stuff. It's just ridiculous. Like are you not there to share it? And like, you know, things like Interpol, like you share intel because that's how you kind of catch criminals. So there's been loads of crimes committed like in various areas. Is it California? West coast of America? I think there's a map. I'll say San Francisco. Oh, it was near San Francisco, yeah. Santa Barbara, Los Angeles. Yeah, so it's California. Because it's the Golden State and there's oranges, yeah. So she kind of coined it and like pieced together that it was the same person that had been kind of moving around. It's kind of like one woman's kind of search for this killer. It's a cold case, it's from like 30 years ago. There's like so many rapes and so many murders and it's kind of like escalated as well. But yeah, he was never caught, and it's kind of her search for that, and she kind of like talks about what happened to all these victims, and kind of like as she's going through she's trying to figure out who it is, and there's loads of evidence that doesn't cooperate with each other, like from eyewitnesses and stuff like that, and she's trying to figure it out, and it's almost like you go along the ride with her, and you kind of think, oh yeah, it's like this, and then some other piece of evidence contradicts it, and you kind of get disheartened, and you kind of understand what it kind of felt like to be her. She didn't get to write this book in its entirety because she died before it got written, and she died before the guy was caught, which is unfortunate. So a lot of it's kind of like pieced together from bits that she's written and from somebody she was working with that has wrote some of it as well. Like on this like shared blog thing, and it's interesting because the bits that she's written are the bits that I enjoyed, but the bits that were written by other people I didn't enjoy as much, which is what made me realise that I actually liked her style of writing and the way that she kind of portrayed things. That's what kind of made it interesting to me. There was a little bit about like her life, like in a kind of memoir-esque kind of way, which I wasn't as much interested in. Like I don't really want to know about her, to be honest. That wasn't the interesting bit. It's quite mundane details of her life really, but she was, and she doesn't come across as a nice person. Like she was a terrible wife to her husband, like forgetting her anniversary and stuff because she was so obsessed with this killer, rapist, you know, serial murderer, whatever. And she was just kind of like so bent on finding him. It's interesting because just after this was published, they found the killer, rapist, you know, serial killer rapist, and the police completely denied that she had any influence in it, and any hand in it, in any kind of like way, in terms of finding him, which I thought was really interesting because it's almost like she had this idea to upload the DNA onto like a hereditary kind of site thing, ancestry site, which no one had done before, and somebody else had done it at the same time, so they had the same idea, and that was how they caught him. And there was another person who'd coordinated where they were, based on like analysis of how far away the crime scenes were, and they found like where he actually lived based on this. So her kind of digging into it and kind of like putting things together and stuff, while she might not be completely, you know, the person that's like helped with it, it's her tenacity in it that's kind of brought everything together and maybe made other people think things and bring things together, and not let it be a cold case and not let it just not be done, like, because the guy was married and had children and was going on with his life and had stopped, and the reason he stopped is because he was a, should I be saying this because it's going to ruin it for you, but he was a police officer and he'd obviously been aware of like the use of DNA, because this was before the days of DNA, and it also kind of makes you understand like the difficulties that they had before DNA analysis and how sophisticated it is now in comparison to how it was and how things weren't shared, and it's terrifying to think how incompetent the police used to be in terms of crime scene analysis. There's like certain things that are described where some things have been found at the scene of the crime, they're just like, oh, just chuck them away. Like, they literally just didn't, like, do things properly, but they didn't have training, and there's kind of, like, some argument that it's political, that the police didn't give her kind of credit for it, and I kind of agree with that a little bit, because it does undermine them as an authority. Like, if someone of the member of the public can solve a crime case that has evaded police, you know, for so long, like, it doesn't look good on the police, does it? But you've got to understand, like, she went around and interviewed lots of people and kind of went across police jurisdictions. It's hard to say. Whereas the police couldn't do that because they didn't talk to each other, so it's kind of like almost like she had that ability because they're preventing themselves from talking to each other, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, it makes no sense, does it? Like, why is it like that? So yeah, for that reason it was really, really interesting. I don't think I would read any other true crime, to be honest, because I don't like reading about this. It kind of scares me, to be honest, that there's people like this in the world that want to cause harm to other people and be brutal to other people. Like, it's disgusting, and the fact that this goes on and it, you know, that people do things like this all the time, like, it's horrible, isn't it? And there's enough horrible stuff in the world. Like, I don't want to focus on it. Like, I want to focus on the good things in the world. So it's not something that I would read like again, but it's worth a read because it's the way that she presents it is different, and I know there's a lot of people out there that like true crime, so if you do, you would probably enjoy this. I know my mum's absolutely loving it because she loves all that stuff, which you know, says a lot about her. But yeah, if you like true crime, I think you'd probably enjoy it.